Hey everybody, it's Mike over here at Growtopia. So, what we got going on today is August 1st. Now, that doesn't mean you have a lot to do, but you might have a lot to do. So, first things first is figuring out what you want to plant. So, being I'm in Zone 7A, between what I've researched online and James Pigioni from the Gardening Channel, I added some stuff in here to the Bible on what to plant in August. Now, I kind of cheated a little bit because I didn't wait until August, and that was only for a couple reasons. One, I just didn't feel like waiting, and two, I was just about there. So, basically, July 29th, I had started. I put some beets. So, I got another book running that's a log of everything that I'm doing. And instead of just putting it into the Bible until I'm done writing out all the pages on it for all the months up to December, then I'm going to draw a picture of my growing area for future reference to, and then after that I'll have the log in there instead. But anyway, so I started my beets in pods July 29th. I did about 15 of them, so I got one tray of 15. Now, currently seeing, and it literally came from out of the seed book into the trays. The reason why I'm telling you this, so I'm just now starting to see these tiny little purple things coming up. I'm not sure if they're them or not because sometimes I reuse my pots, such as currently my dragon tongue beans that are in some of those pods have finally decided to wake up, and now they're like that, and they're growing like 4 inches a day, I swear to God, since it popped. I also did was I found out that you're supposed to soak your beet seeds, so I soaked them for 24 hours on 7:30, and on 7:31, which was yesterday, I put them in the right side corner of my garden. Radishes, 7:31, I direct sowed them. I use French breakfast. I put them in that right corner as well. Beans, direct sow, 7:31. I went for garden beans. I put them in 3 different locations. I put them in one of my greenhouses we call the hot house because it gets more sun than the other greenhouse. And obviously the one that gets more shade we call it the cool house. So I got green beans in there and green beans in both greenhouses and also in the 24-footer tomato bed. There's beans placed throughout that. Those were direct sowed. Now, which I just got to do now, I saw it on here, is spinach. I put my spinach seeds in the freezer on 7:30, and it is August 1st, and I'm going to pull them out, and I'm going to transfer them to the fridge. So they're in the bag, and I put them in a Ziploc bag as well. And now I'm going to stick them in my refrigerator for probably until like Saturday afternoon, give or take. Basically, what you're doing with your spinach seeds is you're mimicking going through winter. And theoretically, I haven't tried it yet, so this is a first for me. But theoretically, it's supposed to they germinate like faster. You get like a year. You're a year ahead by doing it that way. Anyway, next one, turnips. I direct sowed them. 7:31. I did purple tops in that corner as well. Peas, direct. I soaked them on 7:30. And then on 7:31, I put them in the hot house, the cool house, and through the different tomato beds. Same thing like I did with the beets, is I soaked them for 24 hours. Onions, they're going into pods. We're doing those today. Bok choy are going into pods. We're doing that today. And broccoli. You could do dill. For some reason, I can't seem to get dill working for me this year. So I don't really use dill as it is as a spice. So I'm not like, upset that it's not growing. I'm just don't want to deal with it right now. One of the things I was looking at too is strawberry seeds. So I got 2 different sets of strawberry seeds coming. I got one strawberry seed coming from one company that I've dealt with, and I had strawberry seeds in my book. So I planted some strawberry seeds in pods, just 3 pods, which are these guys here, as you can see. Just put the seeds in. Basically, you sprinkle them on top. I did those on 7:31. You sprinkle them on top, and then you just lightly cover it and water it in. And apparently, it could take quite some time for them to even do anything. We're looking at, almost like a month or two before they even start to produce. And when you actually take the seeds, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put them in the refrigerator. Okay, here it is. You're supposed to put them in the refrigerator for 6 weeks and keep indoors for 12 weeks. Top sow, rub in, no mulch or something. I don't know what the hell I wrote there. I wrote no something. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is. I wrote it at an angle for some dumbass reason. But all this stuff and the information is all within here that I wrote all nice and neat out. All the information down the line. So, being with that said, we're actually going to be doing an experiment as well. So let's first get to sowing, because I'm tired of this. And it's time to get growing, and the heat in here is starting to get to me, and I'm starting to get aggravated. Alright, so it is been a hot fucking day up here in New York. We were looking at 90 to 100 degrees index, and it was pretty nice for most of the morning until the breeze went away, and then it just turned into a freaking hellhole. Alright, so what we're growing here is let's start off with my onion. I got some onion seeds. These are red burgundies. 7 to 14 days germination. Harvest time 110 to 120 days. Zones 3 to 11. Plant height 10 to 12 inches. Plant width 1/4 of an inch. Bulb size 3 to 6 inches. Planting depth 3 to 4 inches. Wow. Life cycle annual or biannual. So, being that these guys can go down a little bit, I can stick my thing in the ground, in the dirt, a little deeper than I normally been doing with everybody. And I can do that with these guys. Now, I don't want to put a lot in here. That's one. There's 3 seeds there. Sometimes it's easy just to put in your hands, honestly. The seeds look like little pieces of dirt. Of course, you always get that one seed that goes under your fingernail. Why wouldn't it? Okay. Those are my red onions. So I like my tags, and I just stick my tags in the side of the tray. I used to stick them in the bag, and then it was a pain in the ass trying to put the cover on. Now I stick them in the side of the tray. The only problem is that when I decide to transplant, when I plan to take them from the nursery and put them into the garden, if I'm not paying attention, the tags will just fall out. So if I'm going out transplanting, I just take the tray. Especially now with that, because now it just makes things a lot easier. Next one we got here is broccoli. This is a Wortham. 75 to 85 days for maturity, 7 to 14 days to germinate. Start indoors 3 to 4 weeks before first frost. Full sun. Planting depth 1/4 of an inch. Spacing 12 to 15. Full sun. Harvest the broccoli when the heads become firm. You can get another crop from one plant if, at harvest, you cut the stalk at a diagonal slant. Interesting to know. So I'm just going to brush the surface. It says 1/4 of an inch, so it does not mean stick them 4 inches down like we did with the other ones. Okay. just going to push that down with my finger a little bit, lightly cover it. I know, this is so interesting, isn't it? Oh. Alright. That was our broccoli. Our next one on our list is bok choy. Bok choy is a Chinese cabbage. And for the broccoli, it was a Garden Basics seed packet. I like to show everybody so that in case someone's curious about what to buy, instead of a lot of these other YouTubers out there who just kind of don't show you what they're buying for seeds, I like showing you because it's the only way that we're all going to learn this together. So bok choy white stem Chinese cabbage, Garden Basics again. 60 days till maturity, planting 1/2 inch deep. 5 to 7 days for germination, 6 to 8 weeks before last frost, sun to partial shade, so this would go somewhere around my tomatoes. Harvest the leaves as they grow for a constant supply of bok choy. Soft leaves and firm white stems, they are delicious in cooked recipes and can also be eaten rotten. Can be eaten raw. Maybe rotten too, who knows. Pak choy and bok choy are the same plants. Okay, so skippy-dee-doo-dah-day. I wish they would always have like a better way of opening these, being able to open these seed packets, because if you're not careful, you dump your seeds out, and then you gotta go in there carefully and just slip your finger in the hole. What are we looking at? They're small too. They're kind of like the size of the broccoli seeds. They're not really big, so I'm just going to kind of move the soil around in this tray, just because it's kind of like bunched up on one side. Alright. So, by what I'm thinking by the bok choy, I should have been a substitute teacher. It's like something you just eat as it grows, kind of like how kale is, or Swiss chard is. You just eat it as it grows. There's no like you gotta wait until you got like an actual cabbage. It's funny how they call it Chinese cabbage. They should almost call it like Chinese lettuce or something, or Chinese like chard, but because it's not, it doesn't grow like, I know I've never grown it before, so I'm just going off of what that says, but I'm guessing it's just kind of just grows to what the image of this is. You know, it's not growing into like a bowl like broccoli or cabbages. So anyway, let me get rid of this, and I'm going to pull out the other tray. Put my seeds off to the side here. I don't want them to get molested. Stick them right there. Let me come back with a clean tray. Okay, now for some experimenting time. Sometimes the best way to learn anything in life is to experiment with it. I don't care what it is, you guys can take that statement right there and run wild with it. Not being political on a Thursday. So, what I'm doing is roughly, if I'm not mistaken, the other thing I do when my book is I'll log in the estimated days till hell freezes over. So let's take a look here. August. So right now in August, we have basically 78 days before our first frost. So that gives us time to actually do this experiment as many times as I want. Because the next month that we have is September, and in September basically almost like August, where August was, the list on August is beans, lettuce, Swiss chard, spinach, kale, arugula, carrots, radishes, beets, turnips, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, peas, onions, bok choy, tomatoes, and dill. Well, for August, you can grow tomatoes. We have enough time to grow tomatoes, but it depends on which variety you grow. A lot of the tomatoes out there, just like I was reading before, they average 75 to about 85 days. Now, I wasn't planning on growing any tomatoes for the month of August because this year, before I've started fine-tuning everything, every time I got a new tomato seed packet, literally, I would plant it. So I was sometimes literally planting tomatoes like every week or every 3 to 4 days. So not really the best thing to do. I know that now, but everybody's doing good, so I'm not gonna sit here and cry about it. Looking into next month for September, we got lettuce, we got spinach, we got radishes, we got kale, we got beets, we got arugula, we got Swiss chard, parsley, and cilantro, and artichoke. So I know that I still have to keep some of my trays open. The tray that I put back in there has only 3 spots left, and I only have another empty tray. So that means I can't really overload my trays with this experiment, but I do have enough room for things that may move along. Speaking of move along, let's move along to where this is going. So one of the tomatoes I'm looking at is Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim tomato is a tomato that is a determinate tomato. That means it's only going to grow to a certain size. And that size is 12 feet tall by 1 inch wide. A very small tomato plant, but yields a ton of tomatoes. Germination is 7 to 10 days. Full sun and days until its maturity is 45. That means I could plant this tomato plant twice before my first frost. Pluck the tomato when ripe. It should have a little give on the outer skin. So, Tiny Tim it is. But what does Tiny Tim have to do with the experiment? Well, I wanted something that's going to grow quick. And I want it in a short harvest. Come on, seeds. Where are you? So, where does the experiment start? Well, let's start grabbing our pods, and we're going to start going down this story. So, there's multiple ways of growing tomatoes. The problem is which way is the best way? Which way is the prep way? Which way is the easiest way? Which way is the good way? Which way do I turn around? Well, there's a lot of people out there that say, well, if you do it this way, if you do that, if you use this, if you use that, you get better yields, you get faster growth, you get all this. Well, a lot of the reasons why we are growing at home, instead of running to the supermarket every time we have a thought process, is we're trying to stay away from big-time chemicals and pesticides. And a lot of those chemicals are coming in from your fertilizers. So you got to find organic fertilizers. Okay, that's cool. But the problem is these organic fertilizers can cost a lot of money. So there are some alternatives. And we're actually going to do that today. So each of these, I'm going to make a little indentation on top. And I am going to show the brands that I'm using. There's absolutely nothing I have issues with them. I have no problems with them. I use them myself. I'm just curious on what actually works better. We got 5 different stages. Stage 1 is tomato plants with nothing. The next stage is tomato plants with all natural, ground down eggshells and cinnamon. So after I'm done having my eggs, either for breakfast or making bread, I take my eggshells, I let them dry out, bake them in the oven at 375 degrees till they turn like a little brown inside, you know, what's left over. Let them cool out, and then you run them through a little processor. And what you get in return is this nice grounded down, calcium packed food. That is going to go for those tomatoes. That's number 1. The other one we've had already used before is this granule one by Joby's. It is organic Joby's vegetable and tomato granules. That's our other fertilizer. That's going to be in a different group. We're also going to be testing everything also against James' secret fertilizer from the Growing Channel. And also, I heard somebody once along the way had talked about Dynamite Organic, Mater Magic. Grow bigger, juicier tomatoes and vegetables. Feeds up to 3 months. It looks like a little tomato. So this is going to be on another variable. And I'm not going to lie, but it kind of looks like some type of pellets. So that's our other variable. So now what does that mean? Well, it means I'm going to sit here and keep sweating in my kitchen. I'm going to rough up all these bags. I'm going to go down a little deep with the bags, because remember, these tomatoes, they don't need to go down deep. But we're going to need to mix this fertilizer in. Now obviously the first one doesn't get fertilizer. So I'm going to take a spoonful, not a big one, but a little spoonful of the eggshell, and I'm just going to sprinkle it onto the soil. And that's it. Done. So the second one got the eggshell. And I'm going to do this as careful as I can so that nobody gets cross-contaminated. Our next one is going to be our Joby's. And sprinkle that very carefully inside. Okay. Whew, there. I'm freaking sweating in here like a pregnant slut in church. Alright, next one we got here is JP's Secret Spice. I call it spice, I call it seasoning. It's fertilizer. I just can never remember what it's called. I used to buy a seasoning before I went on a carnivore diet, and it was called JP Secret Seasoning. There's a reason why it was called JP Secret Seasoning. 99% of it was chemicals. None of it at all was spices except for, I think, pepper. So, it was nice. It was more colorings than anything else. And our last one, and I'm going to show you guys this. I don't know how much you're supposed to use. I'm going to read it quick. It says 4. Ironically, I have just about 4 in my hand, but they literally look like rabbit pellets. So I'm going to put them very carefully in the hole. Okay, so now, knowing what we have in the order we have them, and because I thought about this and I was very careful to make sure that everything came out nice, is I'm just going to fluff up the soil where the fertilizer is. So what's the reasoning for the experiment? Well, I want to see what's the difference on all these 5. No fertilizer, eggshell, Joby's, JP's, and tomatoes, Mater Magic. I want to see what causes the tomatoes to grow faster for germination wise. I want to see if they actually get to their height growth faster and start producing quicker. Now that one, Mater Magic, claims that the tomatoes are going to be bigger and juicier. And being that these are Tiny Tims, I figured Tiny Tims is a great one to use because they're tiny to begin with. So we're going to see if we have Tiny Tim or Timmy on steroids. So I'm just going to mix all this fertilizer in together. And yes, I know I am going from one plant to another with the applicator. But the difference is that one was pellets. Now that I'm getting into granules, I'll wipe it down. That's why I'm also leaving the eggshell for last, because the eggshell is very powdery. And the eggshell everybody can make. And I just take organic cinnamon and I mix the cinnamon in. Reason why for the cinnamon, it's supposed to help with, I think, like aphids and stuff. Something along those lines. I can't remember offhand 100%. But it's supposed to help with that. Okay. And being it's all natural, and you're basically reusing, so instead of throwing your eggshells in the garbage, or where you should be throwing them is in your compost pile, I throw my eggshells into a container when they're all grounded down into a powder. Now we're going to come back with the Tiny Tims. And we're going to do the same amount. We're going to try to do between like about 5 to 6 seeds per container. It's kind of hard. We just ran into Tiny Tims, so inside that big bag, that's all there was. So I'm going to just try to do like a little pinch here. There's about 3 there. That's about 3. That was 3 exactly. It's 3, 4, 5. Try to give everybody the same. The frickin' my nail is a tomato seed under it. And the control variable. Okay. Now to attempt to get the seeds back in the bag. Cool, successful. Alright, whew, man. Now all we got to do now is we're just going to make sure we push them in nice and lightly. Don't need to go down deep. Keep everybody at the same height so that there's no bias towards what fertilizer. I don't know which one's going to make a difference. If they make a difference whatsoever. So now I take my tags that are all written out, and on my tags, what I write at the top of my tag is the date. The date is telling me when they were planted. So I got 8/1 tomato and Tiny Tim. This one is going to be no fert, which means no fertilizer. That's that one. Next one over is going to be egg. Can't grab shit off the table apparently. Next one after that is the Jobes, so I'm going to just put Jobes. Come on. Next one after that is JPs. I've used it before, so I'm just going to write JP, so I know what it is. Stick that there. And my last tag is going to be Mater. So now I know all my fertilizers that are on here. Everybody's going to get watered the same amount. No liquid fertilizers. There's regular watering when they need it, and going under a grow light for 8 to 10 hours for the day. Basically, it's whenever the sun's about to come up and when the sun's about to go down, we shut the grow lights off. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, share it with your friends and your family. I hope you guys got something out of this. Get out there and plant, and I will also keep you guys updated on what's growing in the Tiny Tim experimental. Does fertilizer help or no fertilizer? It's your choice. It's how you want to grow them. Just remember, the reason why we're doing this is to stay away from chemicals and save our own money. And when it comes to seeds, for one last quick tip, don't always get rid of all your tomatoes. Take your tomatoes that fall off, like these guys who fell off prematurely. I'm going to harvest the seeds out of them and put it back into the seed bag for next year round. We got seeds. The fruit produces the seeds, the vegetables, the fruit, everything, whatever the hell. Anyway, guys, see you in the next video. Get out there and grow something, man.